We've filed suit on behalf of asylum seekers detained in these 5 ICE districts. Our position is that the administration is categorically detaining them under the same policy, which is a policy that's imposed imprisonment on asylum seekers, not because they need to be locked up based on their individual facts, but in order to send a message. To send a message to asylum seekers all over the world that they need not apply. We represent 9 plaintiffs who are seeking asylum in the country. They've all passed a screening with a government official who's determined they have a credible asylum claim and should be allowed, that claim should be heard in a U.S. court. Nonetheless, the administration is locking them up without ever looking into whether there's a reason to put them behind bars in the first place. And that's what's happening in these five ICE districts. All of our plaintiffs are people who have been found by the government to have a credible asylum claim. That's why they're in the process. And what the Trump administration is doing is holding them in detention while they go through that process. Okay. There has been a downward trend overall since the Trump administration came into office. And that's a real departure from the policy of the prior administration that instituted what's called the parole directive, recognizing that if you're an asylum seeker and you pass that screening, in general, we shouldn't be putting you behind bars, but allowing you to fight your asylum case from the community. The way the process works is I'm seeking asylum and I come to the land border or I come to an airport. I tell the officer I want asylum. They're going to refer me for an interview with an asylum officer who's an expert in asylum law to determine if I have a credible claim, if the person thinks I'm telling the truth, and what the test is whether I have a significant possibility of winning asylum in the United States. The detention that we're challenging is in keeping with a broader strategy we've seen by this administration to deter asylum seekers from coming to the U.S. We've seen that with the separation of moms and kids, the criminal prosecution of asylum seekers who cross the border. All of these are different tactics by the administration to send that message to the world that the U.S. is no longer a beacon of hope and safety for people whose lives are at risk. The administration's position is that our same policies are on the books from the Obama era, that we're not detaining asylum seekers arbitrarily, that our policy providing for their release is still in place. But when you look at their data and you look at the experiences of real people in these immigration jails, that's simply not true.